Hi there, Traci Pirri again. I thought it might be helpful for us to talk about when EMDR goes wrong. Recently I was talking to a woman at a community event, and she was telling me how wonderful and transformative her EMDR experience was. But the more that she was talking about her experience, she was starting to say things like she just completely was a wreck after the sessions, and she, was almost depressed for a few weeks afterwards. And my heart was going out to her because I know that that actually doesn't mean that EMDR is doing, I mean, it's doing its work, but it shouldn't be that way. That's actually a sign that the EMDR session wasn't going the way that it was supposed to. And so I think it's important for people to know what a bad EMDR experience looks like so that you can advocate for yourself. You can bring it up with your therapist. You can work through those kinks, or maybe even find a new EMDR therapist that maybe knows a little bit more about what they're doing, because most of these are fixed when a therapist has a good amount of experience in consultation, or at least support with someone that does on a regular basis while they're learning. So there's kind of 4 examples that come to mind when I'm thinking about bad EMDR experiences. The first one is that your therapist should always know exactly where you're at in the treatment. Like, EMDR is pretty like, we go from the past, we come up to current day, and we go into the future. And if you're bumping around and you're not sure what for week you're going to be doing, and your therapist doesn't seem to be sure, that's a sign that, something's not quite right. Maybe that clinician needs a little bit of consultation. Maybe the case is a little bit too complex for that clinician. But if you're not sure, you need to ask. And if your clinician then cannot answer that question, that would definitely be a red flag that maybe this is not the greatest scenario. So another thing that you can look at to see if your EMDR is going well is EMDR should be helping, right? Even if you're in the beginning phases. So in the beginning phases, EMDR is an 8-phase protocol, and it's not until phase 4 that we actually get to working on memories and doing the right, left, left that people think about traditionally with EMDR. And so, but even in those first few sessions, you should be feeling like something is working. You should be feeling like you're feeling more connected to your therapist. You should be feeling like there's more clarity about what you're going to work on, why, and what the plan is. You should be getting some tools for understanding your internal experience, understanding how to regulate and function a little bit better in the world. You should be doing all of that way before you even get to doing the memory work. And so if nothing is shifting from week to week, that's a big sign, a big red flag. All right, so another one is similar to what I was explaining about the person at the community event that was telling me about her, she's like a puddle afterwards. In the EMDR world, we call that an abreaction. So it's a really, really strong, almost visceral reaction that comes across, and where oftentimes you're really either crying uncontrollably and you feel out of control, or vice versa. You may be so disconnected from like the current in here and now that people can't get your attention, and you're just like zonked into the memory. Neither one of those are what we're trying to do with EMDR. There's a lot of things that we do as EMDR therapists to prevent that. Those things that I was talking about, those positive shifts that you should be feeling before you get to phase 4, is a big piece of that puzzle. That doesn't mean that it never happens with experienced therapists. We, as EMDR therapists, we don't really have maps of your mind. And so there are times when there might be like a landmine of trauma that's hidden underneath the surface that we're not aware of, that we kind of step into. But that therapist should be able to bring you back very quickly. And that should be then the next thing that they're talking about is what happened, how did it happen, and we're going to adjust something in our treatment plan in order to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So if you're having abreactions on the regular, that is not a good sign and would be a good reason to go ahead and bring things up with your therapist. So, and finally, the fourth one is, EMDR should be something, again, that you're feeling a little bit better each and every time. Maybe, one time you might feel a little bit worse before you get better, but the general trajectory should be that you're having more access to your life and you're moving in a positive direction. So if every single time you're getting out of an EMDR session and you are like completely wiped out and you can't function for a day or two, you can't go back to work, you can't go back to school, you can't deal with being a parent or in a relationship or anything like that, that's a good sign. And I'm not just saying just once, right? Because if that happens once, then you should be telling your therapist that, and then they're adjusting their treatment plan. But if it's continuing to happen, that's a sign that something is not going right in your EMDR session. And again, you want to make sure that your therapist is aware of that. And then the right thing for the therapist to do is to be able to troubleshoot it, come up with a different plan. We're going to, take it apart in a little bit smaller chunks. It's a little bit more manageable for you so that you can tolerate the work. I always want my clients to feel comfortable going right back into their day, maybe with a little transitional time frame, like 30 minutes to an hour, but not much more than that. So I'd love to answer any questions that people have. So feel free to reply to the email or just shoot us a comment. But yeah, it's important. You got to know when things are not going well. And so if any of these things are like, ooh, this is too close for comfort, please do go and talk to your therapist. And of course, if we can be of any help for you over the journey, we're happy to do so. Thanks.